Hello my fair citizens, my name is Striderstone and I'm the mayor of Sodium City, and in today's video we're going over the top 10 cards that have the highest potential for Jank in the upcoming set, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. Coming in at number 10, we have Zoro from One Piece, you know, Satoru, Three Sword style. No? I got no. Fine. Fuck all y'all. All right. It's Satoru Umezawa. I'm not going to get a single fucking card. I'm just going to say that right now. All right. I'm not going to pronounce any of these right. There'll be a fucking picture. Okay. I don't even have to say it. There's a picture. All right. It's a 3-mana 2/4 legendary human ninja. Whenever you activate a ninjutsu ability, you look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, the rest at the bottom of your library in any order. This ability triggers only once each turn, and then each creature in your hand has ninjutsu 4. Now, this is going to sound really weird, but I actually want to try this with mutate. Now, if we can protect one creature, we should be able to continuously mutate and ninjutsu the same creature. So we mutate a creature and then we ninjutsu it to bring back the mutated creatures, and then we should be able to mutate that ninjutsu creature and then mutate it and then ninjutsu to bring it back, and you should be able to get some type of loop going, obviously as long as our creatures aren't being blocked. But it's something that it's an idea. I have no idea how well it's going to work in real life, if at all, but I do think it helps a little bit with the shortcomings of mutate, because you can kind of just inherently protect your mutated creature pile by continuously bouncing it back to your hand. Now, obviously, this is kind of counterproductive, what you want to do with mutate, but at the same time, if your creature stack dies, you're kind of fucked. So this helps with that, but it kind of slows down your momentum. I don't know, it's a give or take, and I don't know how give or how take it's going to get. I don't even know if that makes sense. But this is why it's coming in at number 10, is just because there's too many unknowns with it. Number 9 is going to be Mechtitan Core. This is a 2-mana 2/4 vehicle with Crew 2. Now, Crew 2 just means that you have to tap creatures with a total power of 2 or more to turn this vehicle into a creature. You know, like the creature is piloting the vehicle. Whatever. We don't care much about that at all. We only care about the activated ability. We can pay 5 generic mana and exile Mechtitan Corn. Mechtitan Corn? The fuck is Mechtitan Corn? Recording. We can pay 5 generic and exile Mechtitan Core along with 4 other artifact creatures and or vehicles we control, and then we create Mechtitan, which is a legendary 10/10 construct artifact creature token with flying, vigilance, trample, lifelink, and haste, and it's all colors. So this is a big dick creature, and it can also help happily ever after, I think is what the card is called. None of you probably even know what that card is unless you've watched this channel before. It could be used in there, but even then, it's I don't know about that. But whenever that token leaves the battlefield, we get to return all cards exiled with Mechtitan Core, except Mechtitan Core, to the battlefield tapped under their owner's control. This can also be used as a protection ability, as it can be done at instant speed. So if they try to wipe the board or something on their turn, you can activate the ability to keep 4 things alive. And then obviously when it dies, they all come back onto the battlefield tapped. Now, is this a reliable use or a good use of it? Maybe not, depends on the situation, but it's something that can be done with it. Now, this works really well with things like Ornithopter and Guardian Idol, things of that nature. Ornithopter is obviously 0-mana artifact, always great, and it's a creature. It just helps get this done, right? And Guardian Idol is a 2-mana mana rock, but you can pay 2 colorless and turn it into a creature. This is great because you can tap itself for a colorless and then use 1 other mana source to turn it into a creature, but then activate the ability, which exiles it and stuff like that. So it can be a mana rock when you need it as a mana rock, but it can also be a creature when you need it to be a creature. So I think that is definitely really good synergy. As far as everything else you want to do with it, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe a little ox plow action. You never know. Number 8 is pretty great.
I'm not a rapper.
Because it's the Dragon Kami Reborn. This is a 3-mana saga, and you know I love my sagas. But chapter 1 and 2 has you gain 2 life, then you look at the top 3 cards of your library, exile one of them face down with the hatching counter on it. Then you put the rest at the bottom of your library in any order, and then on chapter 3 we exile it and then return it to the battlefield transformed under our control. Now it's transformed as Dragon Kami's egg, and it says whenever Dragon Kami's egg or another dragon you control dies, you may cast a creature spell from among cards you own in exile with hatching counters on them without paying their mana cost. Now this makes me think you can do it at instant speed, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if it's saying when it dies or any dragon dies, you get access to all those spells and then you could just cast them as normal whenever, or if it's you can only cast one anytime one of those things dies, and that's it. I'm not exactly sure if you could do it at instant speed or if it's only sorcery speed, because if it's only sorcery speed and they wipe the board on their turn, then this card is total shit and it should never be played. However, if you can cast Olamog at the end of their turn by sacrificing this creature, drawing 2 cards, and then casting Olamog at the end of their turn, exiling 2 things, and then just swinging in, it can be either ridiculously good or completely unplayable. So if you're a judge and you know exactly how this is supposed to work, then let me know in the comments section below, because I'm really interested to see if this is going to work or not. Number 7 is going to be one that was requested of me to play before I could even see what it was, and that is the Reality Chip. The Reality Chip is a 2-mana legendary artifact creature, equipment, jellyfish, goblin, human, instant, sorcery, planeswalker, 5-color emblem. It's a 500 different things, okay? This is a 0/4 that allows you to look at the top card of your library at any time, and then as long as the Reality Chip is attached to a creature, you may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. Now, the only way to equip this is through Reconfigure or a spell that forces an equip. It has Reconfigure 3, which is basically just an equip thing, but it is important to note that when it is attached to a creature, it is not a creature itself. So if the opponent wipes the board, it won't kill the Reality Chip, it'll just become a 0/4 creature again. So it's kind of like Experimental Frenzy, except it doesn't have the downside of only being able to play cards from your library, and it's blue, obviously. The bad part about this is that if you're going up against a typical control blue deck, they can hold up counter spells with nothing in their hand at all. It's a catch-22. I'm not exactly sure if I like that part. I mean, I definitely hate that part because fuck. However, being able to play land destruction off top of your library is great, right? It does suck for discard decks, but they have other ways of dealing with this, so I'm not particularly worried about it. Plus, discard decks, they already don't perform that well, so it doesn't matter. Coming in at number 6 is going to be Weaver of Harmony. Now, I love enchantments, and then obviously making enchantments that are more broken or allowing us to break enchantments that were completely unplayable or underused is right up my alley. So Weaver of Harmony is a 2-mana 2/2 snake druid that has all other enchantment creatures you control get +1/+1, which we don't really care about because who plays creatures, right? In this economy, we only care about the activated ability. For 1 green and a tap, you get to copy target activated or triggered ability you control from an enchantment source. You may choose new targets for this copy. Now, this makes Haphazard Bombardment and Waking the Trolls so much better. Pretty much any saga this works with, you could just get to copy either whatever chapter, the initial chapter or the second or third chapter. It can be very, very good. But Haphazard Bombardment, you can copy the amount of counters that are distributed, or you can copy the destroy trigger at the end of your turn. So I really like this. It seems to take over the role of Lithoform Engine in an enchantment deck specifically, because I really like Lithoform Engine. It's usually just really hard to put in a deck, and this is specific for enchantments, and it's cheaper. So I really like this card. I'm definitely going to be using it a lot. So make sure to follow me over at twitch.tv/StriderStone for all those details. Actually, if you're watching this right now, I'm probably live. And we're halfway there. So number 5 is going to be Katamari Damacy. Now, this is one of my favorite throwbacks. It's a 3-mana 2/3 legendary creature that says, whenever one or more non-creature permanents are returned to a hand, draw a card. Now, this ability triggers only once each turn, which sucks, but it's still good card advantage. Now, this is cool if you're running a lot of bounce effects, but usually that's not really my style. until you read the activated ability. First of all, this doesn't have to be a permanent you control, and you don't have to be the person who actually bounces it. So this is good value across the board. The activated ability is X and a white, return target land you control to its owner's hand, and then you get to return target artifact or enchantment card with the mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. You activate only as a sorcery, which does suck, but I understand. Now, I'm going to abuse the shit out of this with sagas. So things like Binding the Old Gods that actually ramp you before it goes away, having to return a land before doing this again is really just non-consequential. You're just blowing up a target, ramping, it goes to the graveyard, you're bringing it back, but bouncing the land that you ramped with, playing it, it ramps you again. It's doing all the stuff, and it's just infinite. Yeah, you do have to wait 3 turns, but if you're doing any type of proliferation, you can speed up that process. So it's something to keep in mind. Again, this is a jank list. Jank list. Keyword jank. Jank. In all seriousness, this next card is the one that everyone tagged me in. So coming in at number 4 is Invoke Calamity. Everyone basically just wants me to play this with Stone Rain and nothing else. So I guess that's what I have to do. So Invoke Calamity is a 5-mana instant that says you may cast up to 2 instant and or sorcery spells with total mana value 6 or less from your graveyard and or hand without paying their mana cost. And if those spells would be put into your graveyard, exile them instead, and then you exile Invoke Calamity. Number 3 is going to be one of the combos that I'm most looking forward to, but I think a lot of people are also going to be doing it. Just maybe not as over the top as I am, obviously. But this is going to be with Greasefang, Parhelion 2, and Ishin. Or Ishin. Is Shin? Ishin? Phoenician? You know what I'm saying. Greasefang Okiba Boss is a 3-mana legendary rat pilot 4/3 that says, at the beginning of combat on your turn, you get to return target vehicle card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. And then you return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of your next end step. And always, we're going to want to get back Parhelion 2 because it's a freaking monster. Parhelion 2 is an 8-mana vehicle that has crew 4. Now remember that Greasefang has 4 power, so it crews just fine, which is great. And it also gives haste to Parhelion. So Parhelion is a 5/5 flying first strike vigilance. Whenever it attacks, you create 2 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance. They are also attacking. So clearly this is amazing because if they don't have any flyers and they're just taking 5 damage and then 9 damage and then 13, that's 13 damage on turn 3 potentially. It can get a little bit ridiculous. But the thing that sucks about that is that you do have to return Parhelion from the battlefield to your hand at the end of your turn. But after doing 13 damage, having 8 damage in the air for the next turn isn't that bad. So we will also be using Ishin in this deck, though. We can't forget about that. Ishin 2 Heavens as 1 is a 3-mana legendary 3/4 that has, if a creature attacking causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So we will create 4 4/4s instead of 2 that are attacking. So there's a lot of damage in the air, and if we set it up properly, we can do a 1-turn kill. Number 2 is going to be Mirror Box. Now, Mirror Box is something that everyone wants to play, and a lot of people actually want banned. This is a 3-mana artifact that ignores the legend rule for you. This is absolutely ridiculous. It also has a couple other things in the card that we just don't care about. It's like each legendary creature you control gets +1/+1, and each non-token creature you control gets +1/+1 for each other creature you control with the same name as that creature. And again, we don't care about creatures. The only thing we really care about is ignoring the legend rule. Now, what we want to do is get whatever Planeswalker, Immortal Sun, God Pharaoh statue, really anything that sounds fun at the time, and then cast Mythos of Aluna to copy it. Now, we also have access to things like Anointed Procession and Parallel Lives to double the tokens that we make from Mythos of Aluna. So we can make like 10, 12 of the same nickel boluses. There's a lot of really cool things that we can do, especially since we're ignoring the legend rule. So I'm really excited to mess around with this card. There's a lot of capabilities, so you're going to see it on this channel a lot. So hit that subscribe button, bell notification, and then let me know what you want to see in the comment section below. Last but not least, we have Tezzeret, Betrayer of Flesh. Now, I don't really like this Tezzeret because of the fact that it doesn't do laser fingers, but he's still pretty cool nonetheless. He's a 4-mana planeswalker with 4 loyalty and a passive of the first activate ability of an artifact you activate each turn costs 2 less to activate. Now, we don't really care about anything else on here because we only care about the passive, and we're going to abuse it with a Lithoform Engine, since Lithoform Engine has 3 different activated abilities on that artifact. Now, we will touch on Lithoform Engine here in a minute, but we'll go over Tezzeret's loyalty abilities real quick. So, Tezzeret's +1 is a draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards, unless you discarded an artifact card. Now, this can be good for some graveyard decks, but it might be a bit too much because it's a draw 2 to discard 2. So, I don't know if I really like that. But his -2 ability has target artifact becomes an artifact creature. If it isn't a vehicle, it has base power and toughness of 4/4, but this also means that it's basically a crew, so you can crew Parhelion, swing in, make a bunch of creatures, and do all sorts of fun stuff. So it could be nice. It could be nice, but we'd have to test it. Tezzeret's ultimate is a -6, and you gain an emblem with whenever an artifact you control becomes tapped, draw a card. It's that simple. It's that simple. So this is ridiculous because there's tons of mana rocks, there's tons of invoke mechanics that allow you to just tap artifacts for absolutely no reason at all. So it should be interesting to see if we can fully abuse this card, but there's simply too many possibilities. But again, the one I'm most excited for is Lithoform Engine, so that's what I'm going to concentrate on. Lithoform Engine is a 4-mana artifact with 3 activated abilities, but again, with Tezzeret's passive, each one is reduced by 2 colorless. So the first ability of Lithoform Engine allows us to copy an activated or triggered ability for 2 colorless mana, but now it's free. It also allows us to copy an instant or sorcery for 3 mana, but now it's 1. It also allows us to copy a permanent spell for 4 mana, but now it's 2. So the utility of this card is absolutely ridiculous. Lithoform Engine has always been a really, really fun card for me, and I think it's good, but now it may actually be playable, I guess people would say. However, I'm also really interested to see how it interacts with Zirda, because Zirda has that 0 mana restriction saying it can't reduce abilities to 0. So I'm interested to see if we can Zirda and then Tezzeret to see if we can get other abilities down to 0, or if Zirda is just going to be an entire cock block. So if you know, it might be a state ability to where you have to do Zirda and then Tezzeret, or does Tezzeret and then Zirda also work? I'm not exactly sure. So if you do know, again, if you're a judge, let me know in the comments section below. But that's going to be it for me today. These are the top 10 cards that I am most excited to brew around. Again, if you're watching this video as it goes live, I will also be live over at twitch.tv/StriderStone. I do also stream 5 days a week, every day except Tuesday, Wednesday. So make sure to go over there. Before you do that, hit that subscribe button, bell notification. And if you're seeing this after that, make sure you let me know exactly what card you want me to brew around or what card you are most excited for. Thank you all so much for watching. If you made it to this point, it means you either really enjoyed the video or you fell asleep and I'm waking you up now. Either way, thank you for all the support. I really do appreciate it. If you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, come out with videos 7 days a week.